Hi, I'm Chelly Wood. You might know me from chellywood.com. This is my tiny sewing room where I make doll clothes sewing videos. I have a fun announcement to make today. My YouTube channel, Chellywood1, just reached a milestone. I now have 5,000 subscribers. Woohoo! Thanks to all of you who've shared my patterns online. In celebration, I'm going to give you a tour, not of this sewing room, but the real life studio where I make my videos and sew my doll clothes. Let's go see. I'm Chelly Wood, and this is my tiny sewing room where I make doll clothes sewing videos. If you're viewing this, it means I've reached 5,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, and I want to celebrate by giving you a tour of the real Chelly Wood sewing room. You see the little animated one a lot, which often is set up right here in the middle of, believe it or not, this is an entertainment center, and it was probably built during the 1980s. It's quite old, and I bought it with inheritance money when my grandmother passed. And it's filled with all the things I use for the tutorials you guys watch. Mostly dolls and craft supplies. So it has, for example, the little tiny sewing room that I set up in here. And you can see I'm in the process of filming a tutorial right there. Sometimes I keep my Chelly Wood doll close so she can do some ironing if she needs to. The little ironing board and the little iron are kept in here. This is one of my 2 irons. And the little ironing board is in my sewing room box. So all of these have storage of various bits of equipment that I use for my tutorials. And then you'll notice over here that I have some of the backgrounds you see for photography, for doll photography. And over here is some more. This says turf grass. Okay, and then of course my ironing board, which I do use as much as you see in the videos, probably even more. There's usually a doll waiting to be clothed somewhere. And just above the ironing board are the gorgeous miniature quilts that my mother-in-law makes, and you'll see these in some of my tutorials or in snapshots that I take with dolls. I made this one, but my mother-in-law made this gorgeous one, and this one, and this one, and I absolutely love the red one. Now, with all my storage supplies here, it is so hard to keep things organized. I think, where did I put the brads that went with scrapbook materials? So I actually have the storage cabinet display right here, and I use an app called Boxamize. That's Boxamize. I'll put it in the description so you can find it. And that is a tool that helps me locate things. It's like a little library guide, and where I'm a school librarian in my day job, it's right up my alley. So Boxamize helps me figure out, where did I put the glue? Where's the hot glue gun in all of these storage areas? The sewing machine looks a lot like the one that you see in the tutorials. It's if you're curious, a Viking Husqvarna, and this is the Madison brand. I don't know if you can see that. It has the bobbin in the bottom, and I absolutely love it. My husband gave it to me for Christmas one year. It sits on a tiny table, much the same color as the little doll one. So you'll be surprised how much of this sewing room is a lot like the one in the tutorials. I even have purple curtains, like the purple background, and there's a window, like you sometimes see a window. And I made this little quilt for my mother-in-law's mother. That would be my husband's grandma. And these are my threads right above my little Viking sewing machine. So I do use lighting, and these are just table lighting. It's a fairly inexpensive setup, so if you wanted to do something like it, I'll put a link in the description to the brand that I bought from for this. I think they were called Studio something. And they're just little studio lights, fairly inexpensive. I want to say the whole setup cost me $40. Here's the little tiny ironing board. It no longer has its feet because I used it so much. So what I use instead is this little thing. I added this to my sewing machine. And here's the little library. If you haven't seen my Romeo and Juliet video where I tell the story of Romeo and Juliet reading from a book, you should really look for that on my YouTube channel, because it was a 4-year project. It literally took me 4 years to make Romeo and Juliet in stop motion. And this is the library setting where I read from. I'd like to do more, so I'm leaving this set up as a goal. I want to make more of those videos. So my big dolls are all in a big doll basket underneath of this table. My little dolls are mostly in these cabinets. And then I have dolls that people have given me for Christmas and birthdays that haven't even been unwrapped. I would love to make some clothes for the Snap Star. I do want to make Creatable World doll clothes patterns. They're all in my to-do list. This lady's just waiting for a head to go on her body, but look at this. I've got a Hagrid that I got for Christmas, and I would love to design some clothes for him. Can you imagine Hagrid in, say, a Hawaiian shirt with shorts and flip-flops? And my sister, bless her heart, gave me these beautiful towels, which I don't use in my kitchen. I put them on display here in my sewing room because I love simplicity patterns, and these vintage patterns are so beautiful and inspiring. Just above my simplicity pattern display is a painting that reminds me of my grandmother, who is a very religious Christian person. And I bought this with her in mind because she had pictures like that around her house. And this little storage cabinet was my original, this was my original cabinetry where I kept my sewing stuff back when my husband and I were first married and I didn't have a million dolls. And I still keep a lot of my sewing stuff in it. Again, I use Boxamize to help me organize my organizers so I know where all the ribbons are located and where factory doll patterns are, which I don't use very much, but people give them to me. I mostly keep those for inspiration. I don't like to use other people's ideas. I like to create my own. I've got lace, I've got embroidery floss, and down here I keep all of my fabric in a kind of a rainbow organized space. And I like to buy from Joann Fabric those quilt sections, fat quarters they're called, and not all of these are fat quarters. A lot of my fabric is hand-me-down. People give me old shirts and I cut them up and make them into fabric. People give me old fabrics that are just scraps left from an outfit they made, and I keep all of that and I try to use it as much as I can. Here I have my solid fabrics in the bottom drawer. Again, I keep them in a kind of a rainbow order so I can find what I want. There's just one more thing I want to share with all of my subscribers and followers. It's a treasured family heirloom, and I've saved the very best for last. It's not worth very much money. I've actually looked it up. It is a thimble that belonged to my great-great-grandmother, who homesteaded in the same town that I live in. I would assume that she enjoyed sewing because it's a beautiful little thimble. Let me zoom in so you can see it. Once again, thanks so much to all of you for supporting this channel, Chellywood 1, and my chellywood.com website, where you can find hundreds of free printable sewing patterns for making doll clothes to fit dolls of many shapes and all different sizes. I could never have reached 5,000 subscribers without all those likes and pins and shares online. Thank you so much for your help. Thanks again, everyone, and have a lovely day.